Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Angela Merkel and other German politicians such as the Bavarian governor Markus Söder are planning already to ban Christmas celebrations in Germany. Of course, you can joke about it and say that they're like the Grinch, and if you find similarities in their physical appearance to that fictional character, yeah, this makes for good jokes, I get it, but the matter is very serious, as I try to explain to you today in this video. Especially in Northern and Central Europe, these festivities at the end of the year are much older than this Christian holiday. And this is not only about the birth of Jesus, but for Europe, this goes much deeper. And of course, not only Christmas will be affected, but all family gatherings and all these celebrations. Now, I'm convinced that politicians wanted to do this for a long time already, but now in this year, they finally found the Trojan horse, the excuse that has been missing in previous years. The China bug and the hysteria that is being fueled by the mass media and our political class is the perfect excuse, is the perfect opportunity for these insane maniacs to finally wage this attack on European culture and tradition. In today's video, I want to tell you first what Söder and Merkel said, what their reasoning is, and then I want to make the point why Christmas is so special and why I also make a big fuss about it and why it goes much deeper than this Middle Eastern Christian story of the birth of Jesus. But before we start, I want to thank my supporters and my subscribers once again. If you like this video, share it with your family and friends. Like, share and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And you can support my work via PayPal directly or via Patreon or Subscribestar. Alright, so Angela Merkel said that it is getting serious now. With more and more people being tested positive for this China pathogen, the hysteria in Germany goes into overdrive once again after a relatively relaxed summer, as Angela Merkel says. Well, may I remind you that in this relatively relaxed summer, the city of Berlin tried to ban peaceful anti-establishment protests while allowing parties and pro-establishment propaganda events at the same time. But now it is really serious, like really. She said that every day counts now, and what we do today will determine directly how it will be at the end of the year and also how we will celebrate Christmas, or if we will celebrate Christmas at all. It goes without saying that this is highly unconstitutional. It is a direct attack on freedom of religion and the freedom of Germans to congregate as they see fit. She goes on to urge Germans to stay at home and not go to any unnecessary parties. Yeah, right. What parties are necessary? So basically, we should stay at home, shut up, and pay our taxes, like always. And I'm sure that Honecker and Ulbricht, they would have really liked to tell Germans just to stay at home when they thought it was in their best interest that Germans don't talk to each other and just stay at home. And of course, Mr. Markus Söder from Bavaria always has to one-up all other politicians in Germany when it comes to severe restrictions and hard talk. And he also said that 50 positive tests per 100,000 inhabitants is the definite red line for him, and when it goes beyond that, then no Christmas markets are allowed, for example, and no gatherings and no parties, and that the private life of Germans from that moment on should be reduced to sitting preferably all alone in a room in front of a TV, watching the public broadcasting, of course. Of course, it goes without saying that this line or this threshold of 50 positive tests per 100,000 is completely made up and completely artificial. There is no reason for it to be 50. Actually, I said before, and I want to remind you once again, that this threshold comes from a time when we did just 300,000 tests a week, and now we do 1.2 million a week. So actually, that should have been scaled up also, but they didn't. So this is a completely arbitrary line, an arbitrary threshold that has no justification in science or medicine whatsoever. It is just used to bully the people, and the more you test, the easier it is for politicians to create a situation in which you go over this threshold, of course. And then they have ultimate power over you and they can ban everything they like. This is so totalitarian and authoritarian that probably even some authors of dystopian novels would not have dreamed that one up. I also want to point out that the way that our government is communicating these things is a little bit like overwhelmed parents are talking to their children. And that is only if they did a terrible job at raising them thus far. That is, if you don't behave, there will be no Christmas party this year. If you don't brush your teeth and go to bed now, there will be no more dessert for the rest of the week. And I think I said that a couple of times in my channel already. I'm really sick and tired of these nanny state, mostly female politicians talking to the citizens as if they are some children that need to be educated or raised or something like that. It is absolutely disgusting. Now, the speech of Angela Merkel even had Turkish subtitles. Can you imagine that? When it is, of course, clear to everybody that these restrictions are only ever enforced for German people, as we can see in Berlin at the moment very well. Berlin has practically stopped to enforce all these restrictions for the usual groups, right? In practice, only Germans are affected by all these measures, as everybody knows by now. So this is what they said. And now I want to tell you why I'm making such a big fuss about this and why this is much more important than an Oktoberfest or some celebration in summer. These gatherings and these celebrations in winter are vital for the population of Central and Northern Europe. These traditions are much older than Christianity because there is a biological, a very, very real need for that. What are Europeans normally doing at around this time? Well, it is of course the dark season. The days are getting really short. The radiation of the sun comes at a very flat angle to us. The sun isn't rising very high. There is hardly any color or any green to be found. It is dark and cold, and many people get really depressed during that time. And that is why Europeans developed cultural techniques and measures in order to counteract that. And that is, of course, getting together as a family, decorating your home and the streets and the windows, illuminating public space and also your private homes, singing songs, telling stories, laughing together, baking cookies, enjoying some sweets and a drink. Not only at home, but especially at the city squares and the market squares where we have our Christmas markets. And this is not a trivial distraction. This is a vital need for our population to be psychologically, physically, and mentally healthy. I cannot stress the importance of these traditions enough. If you have never visited for a long time Northern or Central Europe or even lived there for a couple of years, you probably don't really understand what I'm talking about. I would even go that far and say that for many people, these traditions are a survival mechanism. And especially in a time like that, where the collapse of our economy, or should I say the manufactured collapse of our economy, as well as this fear-mongering and hysteria are causing real trouble and also mental stress for many people here. Christmas and also other festivities and celebrations and traditions around the end of the year and during this dark and cold season are of vital importance. And also, let's not forget that one of the fondest memories of our children that they will carry with them for their entire lives to come are formed and made around this season. I myself am no exception here. The very idea to rob our children of the happy childhood that we are supposed to give to them, just because Angela Merkel, a childless, soulless communist, orders us to do that, is absolutely preposterous, and it is not in the best interest of our children to do that and to conform with that. So you should do what is right for yourself and for your family. And last year I would not have thought that I would say such a thing in 2020, but maybe just celebrating Christmas becomes an extra subversive act this year. Just singing songs and illuminating your home and being happy and celebrating with your family and with your loved ones might be the ultimate subversive act in 2020. This is as far as this story from Germany goes for today, and these were my comments on this issue. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Take care, servus, Kameraden.